You're listening to 15 Minutes, where we feature community leaders sharing what the rest of us should know but likely don't. Hi, Chad Franzen here, one of the hosts of Share Your Voice, where we talk with top-notch law firms and lawyers about what it takes to grow a successful law practice. This episode is brought to you by Gladiator Law Marketing, delivering tailor-made services to help you accomplish your objectives and maximize your growth potential. To have a successful marketing campaign and make sure you're getting the best ROI, your firm needs to have a better website and better content. Gladiator Law Marketing uses artificial intelligence, machine learnings, and decades of experience to outperform the competition. To learn more, go to gladiatorlawmarketing.com, where you can schedule a free marketing consultation. Gene Trowbridge is co-founding partner at Trowbridge Law Group and has been connected to commercial real estate for 50 years. He went to law school at age 45. Gene, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
Well, this is great, Chad. I'm pleased to be here. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm curious. You went to law school at age 45. What had you been doing up to that point?
Up to that point, I was fully in the real estate business, commercial real estate, being a broker for a while, being a teacher in an organization called CCIM, and I was a syndicator for 15 years. I put together syndication offerings, primarily focusing on building self-storage facilities in the three-county Southern California area. We built the facilities, we got them 50% leased up, and then we sold them to longtime operators. I wasn't interested in operating storage facilities. We were interested in making the profit from building.
So you were kind of chugging along, and then age 45 hit, and you went to law school. What went into that decision?
Well, it was a decision that was born out of facing a problem with growth. I was using broker-dealers to raise all my money, stockbrokers, and they came to me and they wanted me to do larger offerings to raise more money. And at the time, Chad, I had about 900 investors that I was working with. And one year we sent out 1,800 K1s. And I thought, well, if I'm going to, double the size of my offerings or the amount of my offerings, my database is going to grow, my workload is going to grow. And back then, in the middle 90s, there were no back office software programs to help you. So everything was done in-house. We licked envelopes, we licked stamps, we did all that. And I just said, and I'll say this all the time, so when the great decisions are made at the kitchen table, I sat down at lunch with my wife one day and said, I just don't think I want the risk of doubling my business, having to double my business to please a bunch of brokers who, as wonderful as they are, were doing everything on a best efforts basis, no guarantee that they'd raise any money. So I said, I've got 6 or 7 years of income coming in from the funds that we've already done. I had a pretty good sized net worth at that time. I said, I think I'll just go to law school to be one thing, to be a securities lawyer. And off I went.
Good for you. Where did you go to law school?
It was a small school in Southern California called Western State University. And the issue there, I was 45 years old, and no major law school was going to take me. And I was never going to work for anyone, so it didn't make any difference to me where I graduated. I just wanted to get through law school and pass the bar. So Western State is a school, actually, that has more attorneys practicing in Orange County than any other law school. We're talking about UCLA and USC and Southwestern, all the big schools. But Orange County is a place where all degenerates like myself would have gone to law school. So that's fun.
So I'm thinking you probably went to undergrad at the kind of the time when most people would have gone to undergrad. How was it going back to school, years, if not decades later?
Yeah, I graduated from college, Chad, 1970. So I'm an old guy already, right? Quite honestly, this was the one time in my life I was a good student. because law school is expensive. the time and energy I had to put into it was, I think, immense. My wife was working. We had 2 kids in grade school, and it was a time challenge. And I said, I'm not going to do this unless I pass the bar. Just one goal. I don't care what my grades are in school, but I need to get out, pay for it all, and pass the bar on the first test. And so I was good. I was in a study group. I studied constantly, and it all worked.
Great. That's awesome. Tell me about Trowbridge Law Group and what you guys specialize in.
Okay, well, I went to law school to be an attorney in the world of syndication, and today I guess I'd throw the word crowdfunding in there because that was my background: commercial real estate, syndicating, and I had worked with a lot of attorneys where I was their client, and I kind of knew what I needed from an attorney. And that was the only part of law that I was really interested in. I wasn't going to be a divorce lawyer, a family law lawyer, criminal lawyer at my age. I was going to do what I knew. So I've had a couple partnerships with other lawyers, and the current one we're in is called Trowbridge Law Group. They've all had the name Trowbridge in there because I'm the rainmaker and I'm kind of the organizer. And so that's what we do. We do exclusively work on syndication. If I could delve a little bit, we do Regulation D, Rule 506B and 506C offerings, and sometimes we'll do a Regulation A offering. And I would say 8 out of 10 offerings have to do with real estate as the product. But we do the dreaded cannabis. We do, Jonathan, my partner, does some crowdfunding work where the product is alcohol, beer, sake, whatever people are brewing in their basement and then they want to take public. So we do all that. But primarily it's real estate. We work with, I've done offerings where the amount of money raised is $300,000. And I've done offerings where the amount of money raised is $185 million. So we're into that business.
Okay. Did you start Trowbridge Law Group right when you were coming out of school?
I came out of law school as a solo practitioner. And I called the first firm Trowbridge and Associates because I thought I might have a couple people I went to law school with join me when they finally did pass the bar. And that didn't work. So somewhere along the line, I ran into a woman who wanted to do the same type of law that I was doing. She was already a lawyer in environmental law, but she didn't want to do that. So I brought her in, and after a couple of years, we formed a partnership. Then I thought 3 would be better than 2, so I added another lady, and now we have 3 partners in the partnership. And the first partner said, I'm out of here. I want to go to Florida and get away from California. So now I'm down to 2 partners. And then in 2020, I decided that I would not want to be partners with that particular person anymore. And the feeling was mutual. So I formed Trowbridge Law Group and basically took the company with me. There are 6 of us, and we were all in the previous firm. And the lady who had been my partner is now no longer practicing law.
Your story is a little different than a lot of people that I talk to because you had already kind of lived a lot of life before you went to law school and started your legal journey. What were the early days starting out as a lawyer like for you, and how was it different from what you had been doing before?
Well, prior to that, I was doing the syndication myself. I was finding the properties. I was hiring an attorney to do the paperwork. Mm-hmm. I was working really as a wholesaler with the broker-dealer community to get them to raise money. And now all I was doing is doing the paperwork. And it was interesting. I'll give one comment that I have on the legal profession is that there's age discrimination in the legal profession. In my first, probably well served, in my first quarter in law school, I went to career night. And I was pretty high on myself, knowing that I had done quite a bit of business in this field. And wouldn't I be a wonderful catch for some attorney who had a practice area of syndication? And what I found right away is that no one was going to hire a 45-year-old guy and to pay him what they're going to pay a law clerk and expect him to work 80 hours. So I was not hireable, period. So at that moment, I knew my path was, and I wasn't sure about it beforehand, but at that moment, I knew my path was to go on my own and be my own attorney, and maybe there'd be a partnership in the future. I didn't really think that far, but I thought I'd go on. So, in answering your question, it was kind of funny when the last quarter in school, I took a pass-fail course on starting your own practice, and part of it was to write a business plan. I had to go out and I had to find an office space and figure out what the cost was and do a budget and figure out what was my business plan going to be. How was I going to attract clients? And so I did all that, and I handed that paper in and passed the course and put that in the bottom of my file drawer. And lo and behold, Chad, I passed the bar the first time. I said, shit, I better find that business plan. So I went in the bottom drawer and found the business plan and went over, and the space was still available. So I signed the lease, and I knew what the logo was going to be, and I was off and running. And it was easy because I have a huge real estate network based on all the years I was in the real estate business and the syndication business. So all I had to do is get out there and dial for dollars and talk to people who were already syndicating or were thinking about syndicating. And I could tell them that, given my commercial real estate history, my teaching experience in this one particular program, the CCIM program, my experience of syndication, if you're going to hire an attorney to help you do that, why wouldn't you hire me? And that was my message, given my background and me, why wouldn't you hire me? And away we went.
And you were comfortable making those calls because you already knew those people, and in your previous success, you were confident that you were able to do that again?
Well, first of all, I wrote a book, and now I'm in the fourth edition of the book called It's a Whole New Business, basically to tell real estate people when they put groups together, it's not real estate anymore. It's a securities law. So it's a whole new business. That was successful. And then some people came to me and he said, well, we read the book, but why don't you give a class? Because I was 40 years of giving classes. And I said, okay. So my marketing was, excuse me, Chad.
It's okay.
My marketing plan was education-based marketing. And I've been an attorney for 30 years, and I still do education-based marketing. Right now, we're doing virtual. As we talk, we're doing a lot of virtual education. And I have a program out there called Rookie Camp, where we market, and our marketing pitch is we want someone who's never done a deal to come to Rookie Camp. And we try to keep experienced syndicators out because they've got crazy ideas about what they do. And if I'm going to get a new client, I want to be the person who trains them.
So,
that's worked pretty well.
So, I talk to a lot of people on this podcast, and they tell me that when they started their own practice, they knew a lot about law, but they didn't know anything about business. I'm guessing because of your path and your kind of unique journey, that was not really an issue for you at all.
Not at all, because I did this part of the law. Mm-hmm. It would have been different if I went into divorce law, but I did this part of law. And so I had documents. I had the practical experience from starting a deal to finishing a deal. And that was valuable information. So I didn't have any problems talking to people. And it wasn't long before I got my first offering. My prices have changed over the year, but I got my first offering and paid the bills, and away we go. And now my firm, Trowbridge Law Group, which is a spillover from a couple other firms, we have about 800 clients that we've done business with. Some of them we've done one deal. my most prolific client. I've done 164 offerings since 2014 when they hired me. And so we've done about 1,700 offerings for those clients, and uh, gosh, $5-6 billion worth of money raised. So we're a very small boutique firm. I'm a one-trick pony, Chad. That's all I know. And just do it over and over and over again. I have a law partner now who's been with me for 6 years, coming out of UCLA Law School, and I'm building him up to take my place as the rainmaker eventually. I'm 75 years old, Chad. I think I'll probably work for another 4 or 5 years, and until Chad, my truth is someday when I stand on the podium, I'm going to sense that I'm not relevant anymore. When I sense I'm not relevant, I'm done with it. So I work hard to keep studying and learning things and taking a position where I am relevant.
Good for you. At age 75, what motivates you to keep learning?
Couple of motivations. Number one, my wife says I could never retire because I have no other interest. I could work like crazy, and it's all virtual now. So I have an office in the house, and all 6 of us we go from Boston to Nashville to San Francisco to College Station, Texas. We're all over the place. And that works well for us. Another motivation is making a great living. And that's good. And then my altruistic motivation, Chad, is helping people getting started in the business. I mentioned my rookie camp. I have a goal of how many new clients. That's the only really marketing goal I have. How many first-time clients do I get every month? Because hopefully they'll become repeat clients, and that's good for the business. But that'll get some people into the business who should be. And it'll get some people who try it and say, well, I don't want to do that anymore. Well, that's consumer protection, okay? If you don't want to be a syndicator, which is very much a people business, you don't want to be a syndicator, let's find that out. Let's just do one deal and go away.
You talked about when you were first trying to get clients, you had some contacts that you would call them and ask them. How has your method of getting those clients now changed?
Well, my method is still the education-based marketing, and since COVID, it's gone totally virtually. We do 6 to 10 virtual workshops a year, where they're 2 days, either 3 hours twice or 90 minutes twice, and I go to a lot of events that other people who bring people together to talk about syndication. They do all that, and I just show up and I'm on the podium. And so I get to meet those people. We used to do 10, 12 live events, 2 and 3 day live events every year, all around the country. But COVID kind of stopped that, and I see that my business isn't slowing down because we're doing it all virtually, and I'm going to other people's events. Our business actually has grown since 2016, where I went back to just one other partner. Our business has grown every year.
Are there some milestones or turning points that you're particularly proud of or that are memorable for you?
Well, that's a good question. I would say I'm not going to mention them, but I'm going to say we have some income milestones that the firm has exceeded. My partner, Jonathan, getting out there alone, doing some events, which might be live or virtual, that's a success. And we have one person in the company, interesting, who's our IT guy, and he's been with me for 6 years. He came to us last year and said that he wanted to be an attorney and he wanted to work for us. Very smart guy. He was going to have a second baby, and he said his wife wanted to move back to Boston where the grandparents are. And he was going to take the LSAT and see what he could do and see if he could get into a law school back there. Well, he did great. He got a couple full ride offers. And so he's going to the New England School of Law. I think that's the name of it. And they moved to Boston, and he's now in his second year. That's kind of cool. He'll get out in another 2 years, and he says he's coming to work for us, but you probably know how it is. The world of law is expansive, and who knows, he may end up to be a clerk for one of the Supreme Court judges in Massachusetts. I don't know. But right now, he just wants to work with us. And that would be important because he's young. All the people who work for me are in their 30s. So I'm building a legacy, Chad. So someday when I'm not full-time working, the company will continue to go. My name will still be out there because I don't want to give up my name in the company so all the existing clients don't wonder where I am. In fact, my hashtag is not retired.
Yeah.
Because when my last partner and I split, she tried to do some marketing to tell people that the reason she wanted to leave is because she thought I was slowing down and I was retiring. So I gave that, hashtag Gene Trowbridge is not retired. So.
Why is that important to you to build a legacy, to leave something behind that's still going rather than just calling it quits?
Right now I have 5 people who count on the income from the company. And it's a good company. It's a good, clean business. Everyone is happy doing it. So I don't want to just close it down. So it's important to me that Jonathan and Tim, who would be the new attorney, are set to carry on. And that's important to them. And there's a royalty provision in the partnership agreement. So I'll continue to get money really until I die. And then there's a life insurance provision. So I might as well keep it going.
Is there a big challenge that you've had to overcome, either personally or professionally?
My challenge has been working with partners. I've had partners who've, when I had the 2 lady partners, it wasn't me, but they didn't like each other. So that was a problem. And I didn't know how to resolve that. So one left, and then the other one had some problems with the practice of law that I thought were maybe questionable. And I thought I would divorce myself from that situation. And as I said, she's no longer practicing law, so that might tell you something. Mm-hmm. And so that's it. And so the people part of running the practice has been somewhat of a problem. As my daughter said, my daughter works for me. She's 40 and she does all of our social media. We have meetings twice a week virtually. And she said, it's not always all about you. So maybe that's a problem I create. Okay.
Is that a problem you're worried about fixing at this point, or is it just, it is what it is?
I think it's just what it is because, no offense, it probably is all about me. Because if I stop today, I think the company would certainly go on, but it'll go on a lot better if I continue to work and continue to build.
Sure. Hey, along the way, have you had some mentors or a mentor? And can you tell me what the best advice that you have received is?
Well, I really haven't had any mentors in the legal field. I set out on my own because I knew what I was going to do, and I didn't need any help in the legal work. Mm-hmm. And I generally didn't think I needed any help in attracting clients. But when I was a syndicator, trying to raise money for my own deals, I knew about the real estate part, but I didn't understand the people part of the syndication business. And so actually, it's funny because I saw your last name, and one of my mentors had the same last name out of Minneapolis, and he was a high-powered syndicator, and I'm from the Twin Cities. Mm-hmm. I knew him for quite a few years, and he always sat and talked to me about my money raising capabilities and what I was doing and what I should look forward in the future. So he was a mentor to me in money raising, but it really doesn't carry over to this
Okay. I have one more question for you, but first, how can people find out more about Trowbridge Law Group?
group. Okay, Trowbridge Law Group. That's the name of the website. TrowbridgeLawGroup.com. And the direct line to our office is 949-570-1507. So you can go to the website and you can get a free consultation with me and see all the things that are on there. You can actually go there and get a free PDF of my book, the fourth edition of my book. It's a whole new business. I'm happy to send that off to you. And I think one of the better things people can do is go to my YouTube channel, Trowbridge Law. And we do a lot of, as I said, I'm in education-based marketing. So I've got a lot of YouTubes up there. I've got 37 interviews with my clients who talk about how they got in the business and what they're doing and advice for rookies. And then I have, topics that Jonathan and I film and put in our YouTube channel. So it's quite educational, Chad.
Okay, sounds great. Hey, last question for you. What is a daily routine or a daily ritual that is particularly valuable for you?
When I went on my own, when I went on my own, I picked up a book and it was called Free Agent Nation. And you're going to laugh at this when I tell you this was important. Free Agent Nation was written by a group of people who had been in the corporate world. And their theory was there was a long time when loyalty in the corporate world was up and down. You were loyal to the company was loyal to you. And then as things change in the corporate world, at work teams came about. These people, their premise was that loyalty is now horizontal. Your loyalty is the people that you work with. And now they were running into issues as they left the corporate world. How do they find that? How do they find that loyalty? So they were reaching out to people that they knew, and when projects came about, they were gathering to them together. And I thought that's very, very interesting. But that wasn't what got me. What got me is they said, we have trouble starting the day and ending the day because we're not going into the corporate office. A lot of them are working virtually. So their suggestion was, and I follow this today, and I've been doing this now for 30 years. I get up every morning and get dressed for whatever I need, for however I need to be dressed in the morning. Like it's morning here, I got a shirt on. Okay, I got a long sleeve shirt on for this. I get dressed. I get in my car. I drive up to the coffee shop, buy my wife and myself a cup of coffee and a newspaper, and drive back into the driveway and give my wife her coffee and walk into the office, and I'm at work. I have a sense of arrival every day. I've been doing that for 30 years, Chad. The harder one is at night. Okay, well, tell me dinner's ready. I'll come out of the office, I'll go downstairs and I'll have dinner. And it's too easy to say, well, I just have a few more things to do. So I'm going to run upstairs and finish it. What I need to do and what I try to do is when I leave the office, I close the door. Okay? And I'm done for the day. But that's, part of that is being older and kind of slowing down and all that stuff. That took me a long time to do that. But, you asked me that question. I'll tell you that was the most important thing in that book. There are a million good things in that book. I don't remember who wrote it, but it was called Free Agent Nation. And that's what keeps me going. In the old days when the kids were little and I would close the door and come down, I remember my littlest daughter would say, "Oh, Daddy's home." Okay.
Oh, nice.
I got it. I got it. So that's what I think. And then as far as as far as actually doing business, one of the complaints I hear about other attorneys in my field is they're not responsive. You can't get a hold of them. So I'm a responsive guy. You send me an email with a question that isn't a yes or no question, I'm going to jump on the phone. I'm going to call you and say, let's talk about this. And if we're working on a deal and you have a question about your paperwork, I'm calling. I use my email as really an introduction to phone calls. And I get a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, I know what that means, but I get quite a bit of business from people who use other firms who can't stand the fact that they're not responsive and come to me because they think I will be, and then I have to prove it. Jonathan and I are very concerned about being responsive.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Hey, Gene, it's been great to talk to you. I loved hearing your story and getting your thoughts. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Chad. Take care. Bye.
So long, everybody. Thanks for listening to 15 Minutes. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.